Welcome to the channel. Today we are going to play Where Winds Meet. This is a free-to-play MMORPG that is raving right now in the online gaming industry. So therefore we are going to take a look at how this game actually fare against my standards of gamings. First, I have actually enabled the audio settings to be audio language to be Chinese, but the subtitles to be English. And my proficiency in the Chinese language is actually quite basic, but I am able to read and write Chinese characters easily. Therefore, I will also be putting in my views over what does the translation actually gives, whether it is accurate or not. Here we are going to select our difficulty. For me, I am a vivid player for Dark Souls games, Souls-like games, Elden Ring and stuff like that. Therefore, I have an expectation of myself in terms of how I am going to play this game. Therefore, I have actually selected the expert difficulty, and it will be like this throughout the whole playthrough, or probably I will increase the difficulty in maybe future gameplays.
是啊，来捉你。穷途末路，尚有一饮入喉，如何？但江南的风和春倒是甘醇，不如你我同往。不去，怕给我惹麻烦。放心。 我只怕他们不敢来。抓住他，夺下镇关权！江夜，你弑父夺玉，人人得而诛之。看来这玉佩里的秘密一定有趣。别问，快走！追上去，不能让他带走镇关权。
Alright, so over here I could say there are quite a bit of mistranslation here or there, but I believe the intention of what they were saying against the subtitles are pretty much, I would say maybe 60 to 70% accurate. But it's not me to say, because I believe they would have hired the right people to do translations, although I would think right now this is the bad one. In terms of graphics, I think I'm a little bit disappointed with the graphics, to be frank. It looks nice, the shadows, the effects and stuff like that. But when it comes to frame work, how it transitions from different scenes to other scenes, I think I am able to see certain awkwardness, I would say, that it doesn't really flow really pretty much well. But we shall see whether this continues as we progress more in the games further on. For now, I believe this is just a tutorial for us to be able to know what is the backstory, to learn some of the controls that are actually used in the game itself. Right, so if you choose to get this game through Steam, it is actually available on Steam. You can actually add it to your account and play it, but the storage requirements for it is actually at 100 gigabytes. That is basically as much as a pretty good and well AAA games actually. Probably the MMO game that would be able to rival 100 GB would be Destiny 2, which I think the graphics are so much nicer and smoother. But let's see how it goes in the future gameplay then. So here, I will be showing you the tutorial segment of the game where you will be able to see what are the different options that they give and how they would teach new players who are new to Souls-like games. But for me, I would say I've played Elden Rings before, so you will see me probably doing a lot of different types of button switches, button presses, for me to be able to understand how does the dodge system actually works, block system actually works, and so forth. Right, so you would be able to see me practicing all these different types of skills, different types of button smashes, for me to be able to see how do I flow my attacks better. Over here, we are exposed to using martial arts skills, which is something that you should press L2 and probably any of your button switches on the right. Now, they are going to expose to you the mystic skills, which is not explained properly, which I do not know how are they going to do it well as well. This skill, I do recognize. In Chinese, it's called Da Gou Ba, which is basically means hit the dog. No, it actually means whack the dog pole. Well, that is how it sounds like in the martial arts, where if you were to read and listen to a lot of martial art novels in the Chinese, these are some of the common skills that you will see. So do mind the slowness of me trying to understand how the battle system actually works. Dodging, blocking, deflecting, all sorts of stuff. Here they are teaching us defense, so basically I believe you will need to press one button which is called the L1. You have to hold it to defend. And also it teaches you how to dodge. So you will see them trying to learn how to deflect, whether is there any iframes. Sadly, in terms of blocking, not really. In terms of deflecting, yes, and in terms of dodging, maybe not. You will be able to see this in the boss fight coming up very soon. So you would be wondering, what am I trying to do here? Yes, you can see that. Right. I would say that is pretty much poor programming, where you would be able to block with your back facing the enemy. It is kind of bad though. I do not expect it to be able to auto defend just like that. So I would believe that the deflects also works, most likely. Now teaching us deflection. So basically the front few seconds that you see me learning defense, I'm actually trying to learn how to be able to deflect. But when it comes to this, I realize that deflect is another button, which I do not understand. Why must it be another button than a defense? So what you are actually seeing here is me being confused because I thought you have to press L1 for defense. But in actual fact, it is R1. Oh well, don't ask me, I have no idea. Well, this feature here, assist deflection, I think this you can actually turn this on. And then I think it is usually available for options, difficulty options that are probably unrecommended or below. For experts, I don't think it is down there, but I believe you can switch it on and off. Alright, but I actually switch it off. I don't need axis deflection. Yep, you can see that it is actually disabled in expert difficulty. So here you go. It is the boss. So against the boss, I'm trying to find what is iframes, how does iframe works, what about the hit, how does it works against them hitting us, me hitting him, whether will there be any sort of like, you know, no staggering of certain attacks when we hit them. But as you can see, I realized that nope, they are just as tanky as it is. So basically you can poke your knife inside or poke your sword inside and they won't flinch. So I believe they would only flinch when you hit them with a certain big skills or whatever. That's me deflecting, that's me dodging. So you would be able to see that, you know, it doesn't flinch. So it just basically execute that moves and then you just get hit for really no reason. Okay, over here I will also be experimenting aerial attacks, whether will I get hit when he's trying to do a ground move as well. This is sort of trying to see if I can actually figure out what would be the hit point or the hit point system. Oh no, sorry, it's not the hit point, it's the hitbox system. Whether it is true to the weapon itself or whether is it true to probably, you know, there's a hitbox where it's able to, once it contact your model, you take hit for that. And I realized that the hitbox is not really that accurate, but maybe it is. There are some moves that are not really well hitbox, I believe, as you can see over here. And the skill effects probably move in one line. True, but you will be able to see that the boss do like an auto target towards your character. Therefore, in terms of the battle system, I would say that it is actually pretty much very inferior to probably other single player Souls-like games like Elden Ring. I would always compare it with Elden Ring, because I have much experience with that. So this is me trying, you know, how do I do a chain deflection, whether it works or not. Apparently I think it works well, so that's good. Okay, but while we are looking at this, what I would say is, do pardon me in terms of my speeches, including gameplay as well. There will not be any match. The reason why is because when I'm recording this game, I did not actually record my sound, so therefore sadly I have to do this. Do bear with me for a few episodes. I believe there will be 5 episodes that I have to do that, but after the 5th episode, I promise you I will be recording the gameplay together with my voice, where we are going to have really fun and, you know, nonsensical stuff in my gameplay. That's what I usually do all the time. Right, so do enjoy me trying to defeat this boss, which takes quite a while. as there's a lot of things that I'm trying to experiment, understand. It was a pretty good fight, I believe. But the battle music against this boss is not really very epic, so therefore I managed to get defeated by him quite many times. Okay, that was me trying to learn and trying to figure out whether when you use a skill, a mystic skill, are you able to cancel your mystic skill execution? And I realized that it's half-half. It's a 50-50 thing. That seems to be you would not be able to cancel the skill if it is roughly at the start of the skill. But when you are at a certain animation of the skill, you would be able to cancel, I believe. But do correct me if I'm wrong. Right, so do you see that move? Somehow or rather, I think it is the issue of the hitboxes. Well, you see this bug? For those who have actually followed my channel or know that my channel actually have Monster Hunter games, this is basically more or less like a copied version of its wire bugs. But alright, I think I shall give them another chance. You know, let's take a look at this game as its whole entirety rather than them copying certain image or maybe certain concepts. I think we have to give every game its fair chance at the graphics that they use.
说，你何时才肯让我去江湖上看看呀？
你想入江湖？
是啊，来往清河的客商和我说了好多事儿，都可好玩了。有河东八郡、燕北旧盟，有好多新门派。哦，听说还有人学尽各派武功，成了武林路中鼎鼎有名的江湖豪侠。
你也想出派进学吗？
我勤学苦练，一定也能做到。到时候我要和江叔一起，像客商口中的侠客们那样，江湖同游。哎，蝴蝶，
Alright, so I think that will be the end of the episode 1. I shall see you in episode 2